Hello, everybody. Welcome along to pre-match build-up here on the Rangers Rabble podcast. And if it looks like I'm sitting funny, I'm not. It's just that my back's really sore. So, hello, welcome along. I hope you're all well. And we're here, obviously, to build up to today's game against Aberdeen at Ibrox. And I am joined by Craig and Connor. Craig, my friend, how are you?
I'm all good, mate. I've been keeping an eye on the golf this morning and eagerly waiting for my new shirt to arrive, but alas, it hasn't arrived today, as I was sort of optimistic that it would.
Well, I mean, Europe are doing well, but we're not here to talk about the Ryder Cup, but Europe are doing well. Connor, how are you?
Aye, not bad at all. Not much of a golf fan, I must say. So I
like my golf.
I've been watching the game between Villa and Brighton down south this morning, which has been full of goals, so that's been no bad. And I was in a great mood until about 2 minutes ago when you told me Lewis Palmer just scored for Celtic. So that soured it a wee bit.
These things are set to try us, but however, we move on and we focus solely on Rangers, and that's what we're here today to do. So before we get into the pod, I thought I would just start off with the manager's comments and we can take it from there. So yes, the manager spoke to Rangers TV, obviously, about today's game, and this is what he had to say.
Michael, we're back at Ibrox again in the Scottish Premiership against Aberdeen. How are you feeling ahead of this one?
Yeah, really positive. Obviously, it was a good performance and an excellent result in midweek to get us into a semi-final. This is another test today. Aberdeen have changed their form in the last week, if you like, with 2 wins and a good performance away in Europe. So we're expecting a tough game. It's important that we're at it from the first whistle.
For your squad, is it a case of trying to continue that momentum that the squad have found in terms of results in recent weeks and performance too?
Yeah, we know we've got a lot of players missing, so there's a consistency to the team. Sometimes that can help those players. I'm sure we're going to need the bench at some part today, but obviously just the one change was Cyril coming in for Kamal.
What's been your key messages to the squad heading into this game?
That it's a really important game for us. It's the last one of a little 4-game and 10-day stretch. We've done ever so well, but those games are now behind us. It's important today that we're patient in our possession, but have the right moments to change speed. And that defensively, we're strong because they're one of the teams in the league with 2 front players that can be dangerous. So we know the level of this game. We know how competitive it will be, but it's important we come out on top, and whatever it takes today to get the 3 points, we've got to be willing to do that.
Just your bog standard, Connor, pre-match presser, nothing too exploratory in there to deal with. So we'll leave that where it is. I suppose there's not really much we can pull out of that. I mean, I suppose really the only thing is the way that the manager's talking about, you know, the most important thing is the 3 points. So maybe trying to kind of just gently let us down about the style of play that there's going to be out there. But there is a lot of injuries, and I don't think, regardless of how we've been playing, regardless of my thoughts, your thoughts, Craig's thoughts on the manager in his position, we have to take the injuries into account, don't we?
Aye, of course you do. Look, you're playing. You only look at the midfield. You know, you're playing Ryan Jack, John Lundstrom, and Ryan Cifuentes, Jose Cifuentes there, and that's a fairly, new midfield 3. Obviously Jack and Lundstrom, it's not often you really like to see them playing together. So I think we just have to accept that there's going to be those issues. However, what I would say is the fact that even with the injuries, I think we should still have enough to beat this Aberdeen team. And we should, I think, make sure that if it's going to be one of these stuffy affairs where you only get the 1 goal, then at least make sure we're looking competent and composed at the back, and we're no, doing what we've done against Motherwell and having to clear balls off the line and stuff like that, because Aberdeen do have that quality with Majowski and Duke, who actually I think's on the bench for what I've seen in their squad, that can cause us harm. So that's what I'm more worried about, is just making sure the back line stays nice and calm and let the forward line take care of itself.
And of course, I probably should point out that Motherwell have just scored, and it is Motherwell 1, Celtic 1. But it's the 96 minutes, so there's still plenty of time for Celtic to get a goal. So I wouldn't be celebrating just yet for them dropping points. But yeah, Craig, I'm really struggling, mate. I'm I'm in a lot of pain. So I forgot what I was going to ask you, but yeah, and Connor mentions there the midfield. In fact, you know what I'll do? I should probably read out the team. That's probably the fairest thing to do. So the team is Butland in goal, and then it's a back four of Tav, Goldson, Davies, and Ridvan. A midfield three of Lundstrom, Jack, and Cifuentes, and a front three of Lammers, Sima, and Dessers. And Craig is shaking his head.
I think their goal's been disallowed for offside.
Oh well, never mind. Never mind.
That's why I was shaking my head. Yeah, the midfield three is basically what we've got, isn't it? So at the moment, I don't see any other options there. The only one today, apart from out of that team, the only potential one I could have seen maybe would have been Barisic coming in, considering Ridvan went off the other night. But I'm glad that Ridvan has got another start, considering he's not in the European squad. Would make me think that Barisic will obviously come straight back in on Thursday over in Cyprus. But the team really is what we to be expecting. Yeah, I mean, we're down to the bare bones. So it's just about getting through the next few games, and then hopefully getting a few players back.
And I told Connor not to celebrate too early, and he did. So there you
The
go.
goal stands.
No, it's 2-1. Right, okay. So Connor, the big conversation obviously is about the forward line, about who we're playing through the middle, and as you can hear shouting in my living room, is Dessers starting? The manager doesn't really have any other options, does he?
Not really, no. Because beyond that, you'd be having to take a risk on starting somebody like Zach Lovelace or something like that, and I don't think you particularly want to do that right now in these kind of games. But to be fair, I think Dessers just needs to show what he's capable of really going. He's got the opportunity now. The shot's now his because Danilo's injured and Roofe's injured for however long we don't know. And I just think maybe it's a case of let's see if he can step up to the mark. Personally, I think he needs to be better positionally. He's finishing, I think, is a problem. But I think we just have to kind of stick with him and hope for the best. Martin seems to have had to go. So we'll come to you then, when Craig, with the obviously we're talking about Dessers there, but I mean, how important are Lammers and Sima going to be as well? Because they're obviously the ones playing the wide areas alongside them, and you'd hope that they can provide them a good bit of service to get on the end.
Yeah, the three of them did link up quite well Wednesday night in the second half. I know Dessers was a bit hit and miss, but the three of those players did link up. So hopefully it's just the case of them carrying on. I think for me, the problem I've had so far this season is the front three and the rest of the team is consistently changing. So there's no way that the players can then get to know each other. So at least in the last couple of games, you've had Dessers, Sima, Lammers. So hopefully they should be able to put together a good relationship. So like you say, at the moment, they are pretty much the three that we've got to go with very little other options outside of people like Lovelace and people that are obviously on the bench. So the manager is right that it can be a good thing. We've got to hope that there's no more injuries over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? You know, we're kind of in a position now where if we start losing one or two more players, we could be in real bother, because then we are turning to the young ones. And don't get me wrong, look, Bailey Rice has been mentioned a number of times by the manager and by fans as somebody you'd maybe like to get into the team, but you don't want to make it one of those situations where he has to come in because you've no other choices. In terms of sort of the overall outlook of this game, Aberdeen have come into it obviously having picked up a couple of wins themselves. We know that they do like to, turn up against us, and rather than against other teams. So, are we back, Martin?
Going to put your phone on silent, Connor.
My phone?
Yeah, or Craig's phone. It keeps pinging. But look, sorry guys, I had to jump away there. I had to just slam my head into a wall to try and get the back pain to stop. But unfortunately, it hasn't worked. But look, okay, let's get back to focusing on the actual game, Connor. In terms of the game, we all know that this is Aberdeen's cup final. I'm just looking at Aberdeen's results. They're on and off form. Barry Robson's done a decent job since he's been in there. And every time, I suppose, I'm trying to rack my brains, and I probably should know this, but every time we play them under Barry Robson, they give us a game.
They do. I mean, under any manager, they've done that for years, Aberdeen. It's why it's one of those games that I'm never really looking forward to, because I know what they're going to do. We've seen them come at Ibrox a couple of years ago, go 2-up, and we had to bring that back. So it is a cup final for them, and they see this as their big rivalry for them, their big derby game. We're less bothered about it, but I think we just need to go and assert ourselves. They're going to do what they're going to do, and we need to be prepared to deal with that. Because, under Robson in particular, they have caused us a couple of problems. But I don't think they've been in great form. I think I okay for the couple of wins over Ross County, who themselves are clearly having a bit of a dip just now anyway. So I think, they might have a bit of momentum in their side, and obviously they'll turn up as if it's their cup final. But apart from that, I don't imagine that we should have a problem dealing with them.
No, we absolutely shouldn't have a problem dealing with them, Craig, but I suppose it depends on how this Rangers team set up and how we go about the game, because the one thing I don't know is how Aberdeen are going to approach it. Because if we look back to the Motherwell game, Motherwell had success, albeit they lost, but they had success against us when they attacked. So do we expect this Aberdeen team to do what a lot of teams do in this league and sit back and soak up the pressure and try and hit on the break, or do we expect this Aberdeen team to come at us?
I think they'll in a tactical way. They won't come at us full force, because I think the last time they did that, we sort of battered them this time last year when obviously Beale was in the crowd. I think it's only really Aberdeen's cup final or Aberdeen's big game if we allow them to do that. It's different when we play them up at Pittodrie, because that's their home ground. They will put their their stamp on the game, but we should be able to put our stamp on the game and nullify them early doors. Even like Connor said, it doesn't matter what team we put out, whether we've got our B team or our third string players, we should still have enough to beat this team. If Rangers actually do turn up, and that's the key thing. Mm-hmm. Rangers will win 95% of games when they turn up. It's when they decide to not turn up or think that it's only Dundee, it's only St Mirren, that's when we come a bit of a crop out, similar like last week. But I'm confident if we put in a performance like we did on Wednesday, albeit it wasn't perfect, and I don't think we've had any perfect performances, but we should have more than enough to come away with the 3 points.
Can I just ask everybody in the comments, please, no jokes. Don't make me laugh. I can't move quickly, so please stop making jokes in the comments, please. Yeah. Oh, Connor, I completely forgot what I was going to ask you, so I'm going to refer that question that I just asked Craig to you, because I'm having a mare.
What was the question you asked Craig again? Sorry.
I absolutely cannot remember. I absolutely cannot remember. But in all seriousness, it's good to see Ridvan play in the team, because obviously he came off midweek and it looked, and I know that Beale came out and said, look, it was just precautionary for taking him off, and we'll come to Roofe in a wee second, but it was just precautionary. But when you see Ridvan coming off after playing well, scoring that goal, you're thinking to yourself, here we go again. Somebody showing promise, somebody showing a a bit of individual brilliance and they're off injured, but he's straight back into the team, which is good to see.
Oh, 100%. You know, listen, we mentioned it last night in the pod that, you know, if he's fine and he's fit, you've got to play him, because it was a bit of cramp. That happens to everybody. Thankfully, he's all right. We don't need to add him to the list. And if he could pull off a wee mazy run again, I think everybody would be quite happy with it. Because he's definitely, I think he is a good player, Ridvan. I do. I think he's just been unlucky at times with injuries he's had since he came in, and the fact that he's come into a team where he's in a position that shot's been Borna Barisic's for so long that no matter who the manager's been, whether it was Gerrard, Gio, or even Beale, he's always going to be the first choice. So he has to break in and show the different qualities he's got and challenge. And I think he's starting to do that. Plus, it helps us with squad rotation as well and utilising it, because we've got games coming up, obviously, you know, in Limassol during the week again, which I'm assuming Borna will probably play in that game. And that's what we've got to do. So I'm happy to see him in the team as long as it works, because we clearly need to make sure we're picking up 3 points every week now, between now and whenever the next time we get a chance to play them is, because as I stated before we came on, no matter how shite they've been playing, they just win every week, because for whatever reason the rest of the league is that shite they can't even take a point. So we're going to have to do it the hard way by ourselves, which means winning every game.
Yeah, which, as somebody said in the comments, Craig, we are that unpredictable that you can't predict the way we're going to play.
No, the only team that will stop Rangers winning games is Rangers. It's not anyone else in the league. If Rangers turn up, they win. Like I said, they win 95% of their games, just because they got the better quality on the whole. So it is very much how the players approach it. And for me, I said to Connor when you'd gone off that, for me, I kind of like that the fact that we are sort of limited in players, because Beale has then sort of had to pick pretty much the same team that he played in the week. Seema, Lammers and Dessers have now got this time where they can build a relationship. They haven't had that so far this season, because 1 week it's Matondo, 1 week it's Seema, 1 week it's Danilo. So the manager's having to, by forcefully, be sticking with a team, which can only be a good thing. And I said that my only concern is that we don't get any more injuries in the next couple of weeks before the international break.
Well, you say that, right, about not getting any more injuries. Is that a bit of a risk then from the manager? And look, I'm happy. I'm more than happy for Yilmaz to be playing. But is there could you not have made, could you not have put Yilmaz on the bench and started Borna just as a kind of precautionary after he went off for that injury, or is he right to just throw him straight back in?
For me, I think it's right to put him back in, and that's only because Ridvan's not in the European squad. So if Borna comes in today and anything, touchwood, happens to Borna, then we're stuffed for Thursday night with a left back. Whereas at least if it happens to Ridvan, not that I want anything to happen to Ridvan, Borna is at least available to play on Thursday.
Yeah, but then if something happens to Ridvan, then Borna needs to play extra games.
Yeah, let's just hope nothing happens to any of them. And
No,
I said earlier on in the season that.
No, sorry, it's just the way that it seems to happen with our football club now, that as soon as somebody shows a bit of promise, they seem to get injured. That just appears to be what happens.
Yeah, I did say earlier in the season that when the manager had the whole squad available, I kind of felt that he would have a spine of a team, but then he would have players that would be league and domestic players and European players. Obviously, at the moment, we can't really have that flexibility because we are down to the bare bones.
And one point I will make, Connor, about that kind of midfield three of Lundstram, Jack and Cifuentes, it's kind of the same point that I made with regards to the Livingston game, is where's the creativity coming from? And I suppose I was kind of I was made to look a little bit stupid because we scored 4 goals and we played quite well, but we're now playing against a team, albeit not a fantastic or a great team, but a team that's probably got more quality than Livingston. So does that point then stand, that creativity point for that midfield three?
Yeah, definitely. It's a real worry because you've got Lundstram and Jack are steady hands, right? They're no bad players, but they're also not creative sparks. They're very simple in their approach to the game, which I don't mind. You need that balance. But when you look at what we've lost in that midfield, Cantwell, Lawrence, just as an example, even Matondo, to a lesser extent, it can, at least where at burst of pace, to be a bit creative and get into spaces. I'm not convinced yet this middle three can. Now, Cifuentes, I think, has got to show himself more, because so far it's not really been working for him. I was there on Wednesday night, Ibrox, and he was hopeless. To be perfectly honest with you, he wasn't.
I don't think personally that he was that bad. I thought he was okay.
I don't think he done enough in the game. I think he lost the ball cheaply a good few times. Some of his passing was a bit slack at times. Okay, it's not the worst performance I've ever seen. There was some moments, but again, that's where they need to step up. And you've got experienced players in Lundstram and Jack, so they should know how to, help get that out of him. Because he's going to be the main creative spark we've got there. I just worry that we go a bit too sort of safe in midfield to the point where we end up surrendering the midfield battle to Aberdeen's midfield and their creativity, and we don't need to be doing that, because we can still get at teams with that, and obviously you've got to use Lammers and Sima out in the wide would be my best shout, I think, for creativity. But again, they've got to make sure that I said it to Craig there, that they're providing the service and delivery, quality that we need as well.
Yeah, and we're talking about quality, Craig. We're talking about putting the ball in the back of the net. We're talking about Cyril Dessers. Again, didn't really pull up any trees when he came on against Livingston. A lot of the fans have had enough. Whether that's fair or not fair isn't for me or us to judge. We can only give our opinions on what we think. But in terms of that service into Cyril, is Lammers and Sima, can they do that? Is that the best way that we can play with Dessers? Does Dessers need to show more? Can Dessers show more? Or is that an area of real concern?
I think he does need to show more, and he can. From what I've seen of him, I think he does struggle playing as a lone striker with nobody really up to support him. So I'm hoping that Sima and Lammers they're not going to play really out wide. They're not going to come back. That they're going to be pretty close to him. You'd expect, in the front and midfield three then will be that link between them, the back four and the front three. I would hope that Lammers and Sima being quite close to him will give him that bit of support. Because there've been games where people have said he's not doing a lot, but actually, if you watch him off the ball, he's actually chasing a lot down and just not then getting the service, and by that he's then looking like he's not doing a lot because he's got 40, 50 yards to try and press on his own. So I think having those two up close to him will hopefully be a good sign for today.
Yeah, and Robbie, Martin is just a ray of sunshine. Martin's trying not to cry live on YouTube. That's what Martin's trying to do, Robbie. I'm trying to hold it together the absolute best that I can. And Connor, I know this has maybe sounded overly negative, this build-up, and I apologise if it has, but it might even sound a lot more negative now that I'm going to bring this up. If the game isn't going to plan, if we need to change the game, on the bench we have McCrory, Suter, Sterling, Wright, Balogun, Barisic, Rice, Lovelace and McKinnon. So from an attacking point of view, Connor, if we're looking to change the game, we have the option of Scott Wright, Zach Lovelace or McKinnon.
Yeah, it's not the greatest. Look, again, maybe it presents an opportunity for these players. Michael Beale said that they would have to earn the jersey rather than be handed it. That's fine. Myself and Wilf were banging on yesterday about our frustration that Baylor Rice didn't come on during the week against Livingston when we were folding nothing up, when really he should have done, especially if you're bigging him up. So that's the opportunity that might present itself today, and I can see that happening, because if it stays 0-0 for a long period of time in the game and it's not really clicking, then you need to try something different. Zach Lovelace obviously is a striker. I'm must admit, I haven't seen much of them. But that's where we are right now. Unfortunately, we just have to kind of deal with the hand we've got. I mean, I imagine that probably the first attacking change will be Scott Wright, to be fair.
Yeah, sorry. I thought you were going to carry on there, Connor. My apologies. Could we return that into a positive then, Craig? That we've got a young Zach Lovelace, a young Bailey Rice, on the bench, and they've got the opportunity then to come on and actually stamp their authority and make a name for themselves at Rangers, because they're not on the bench at Rangers if they're not quality. Rangers don't just put anybody on the bench from the youth teams. So these players have got a chance, if it's maybe not going their way, to come on and make a name for themselves.
Yeah,
and like Jimmy says, we have to we're down to the bare bones attacking wise. So we need everybody to get behind the team.
Yeah, of course. I mean, these players, we've all respected them, how good they are on the B team. If we did have our full squad available, they're probably not anywhere near the bench, because we've got players there. We've got enough players in the squad that can fill out a bench. I mean, we've only got 3 of them, so we've still, even with all the injuries we've got, we've only needed to bring 3 of them onto the bench. Considering that team, but it is a game where I don't want things to not be going well. I want things to be going well, and they come on with a bit less pressure on them. But if they do have to come on to sort of change the game, then I would have absolute confidence in a Zach Lovelace coming on and being able to change the game if needed. But what we've got on the pitch should still have enough quality to be able to bring those players on later on when the game's done, bring them on for a few minutes at the end, or give them sort of 15-20 minutes just to experience the game against Aberdeen.
Yeah, and just to answer channel member Ewan, what's up? Have you hurt yourself? I'm just old and my back's went, but I'm sure I'll survive. I'm absolutely sure. Chris, you're chalk white, Martin. Aye, well, and David's comparing me to Kmart Roofe. But yeah. I mean, that's that. Oh, don't do that, man. That's so. Stephen, let's think positive. If we get a few goals up and we can give these lads a go, Lovelace has played in the Championship, and I suppose, Connor, this has been overly negative, and we're just off the back of a good result in the cup that's took us back to Hampden. We're playing at home. We're playing against a rival in the league, so we have to try and be positive in a way, even though that there hasn't been a lot to be positive about. But for me, I watched the B team a lot last season. I think there's a lot to come for Zach Lovelace. I think he's a quality striker. There's another couple for the B team, but I'd like to maybe have seen Aaron Lyle involved in this squad, but he's not there. But can we somehow just try and be slightly more positive, or is this negativity kind of filtering through, and it's really, really difficult to get away from, because it's not nice to sit on a platform like this and just be constantly negative.
No, listen, it's not nice, and I think it's tough in it, because on the one hand, you're looking at it and you're saying, well, we have actually just put together a decent wee run there. 4 clean sheets in a row, 4 wins, fantastic stuff. But the performances and some of it, particularly last week, the Motherwell game, that's what got people's backs up about it. Oh, no pun intended, Martin, sorry. But I think it becomes more difficult because we're coming into this game at such an early point of the season, 7 points behind Celtic. And we need, obviously, to then win the game just to get back to within 4. That's where a lot of negativity comes from. If we were closer and still playing the same way, or even above them and still playing this way but getting results, then I don't think we'd be being as negative. But we've allowed ourselves to fall so far behind this early on that it's, and the levels of performance aren't convincing people that we're going to be comfortable in games and actually win. And I think everybody knows that another game that we fail to win, particularly if it's at home, really could spell the end for Michael Peel as well. So I think, you can be positive on the fact we've kept 4 clean sheets and we've got 4 wins in the bag in a row, but we need to win every game between now and when we next play them, including that game, to overcome them, because we can't, as I said earlier, we can't rely on everybody else to do it. That's where the negativity comes, because how many people actually thinks we're going to be able to win? every one of the games that we'll have to play between now and then.
Well, I mean, Craig, all the manager and the players can do then, I suppose, is like Connor says, just keep on winning. And we have to remember that we're coming into a game today at home, regardless of who it's against, with a team that's in 11th place in the league and they've got 5 points from 6 games. So I know I said earlier, you know, it's Aberdeen's cup final. They always give us a game, but at the end of the day, they're sitting in 11th place. And if we can't beat at home a team sitting in 11th place with 5 points for 6 games, then there is something wrong.
Yeah, definitely. And that's all the team can do every single week. It's just put results together. Whatever's happening outside of that, we can't control. They can't control. It's just about winning games. And I mean, yes, we want performances. Of course, we want to be winning every game comfortably. But ultimately, at the minute, the only thing is to, especially as we're playing predominantly after the other side, and we're sort of continually chasing. We just need to keep winning games. And get to a point then where we can get into a position. And if we keep winning games, we're in a position where we overtake them. And that's all we can do at the minute.
And can I just say my favourite comment of the day? Hands down, Stephen Gillespie, channel member. 6-0 Dessers, hat-trick, and a loveliest double, Monagers. See if that happens, Stephen, then you're my new best friend. I was going to say something else, but no, you're my new best friend.
If that happens, Stephen going to give me the lottery numbers as well.
No, if that happens, you can come and sort out my back. But yeah, okay. So we've been slightly negative, Connor, but we're going to finish it on a massive positive, and that's going to be your prediction.
Listen, I don't actually think we've been that negative. I think we've just been realistic. You know, we're looking at the situation for what it is, because you can't get too high or too low in these situations. Otherwise,
oh no, you most certainly can.
Well, you can. In terms of prediction, listen, I'll go for a nice positive one. I'll say 3-0 Rangers, and I'll go for Abdullah Sima to net again.
Craig,
2-0 Rangers, and Sam Lammers will get the first goal.
Can I just say that my prediction for Livingston was extremely close, and everybody laughed at me when I said it. So I'm going to give the same prediction, slightly different goal scorer, but I'm going to give the same prediction. 5-0 Rangers, Dessers, first goal scorer. And you all laughed at me when I said 5-0 against Livingston, and we came so close. So yeah, absolutely. I apologise, folks. I have been trying my best to keep up with the conversation and segue into different points. But my mind's elsewhere. I'm not going to lie, I'm in a lot of pain. So I do apologise. My thanks for putting up with me, Connor. Thank you.
Pleasure as always, Martin.
And Craig, thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you to everybody who tuned in. We will be back shortly after the game with full match reaction. Make sure you like and subscribe. And if you're subscribed, please make sure and turn on that notification bell so that you know exactly when the reaction is going to be. It might possibly be me if I can get myself up off the floor. Failing that, hopefully somebody will be able to cover me. If there's anybody for the rabble watching, please do message. So thank you everybody for watching, and we will see you after a convincing Rangers win shortly after the game. Thank you.